What's up there, folks? Earthmaster here, jumping in on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon, June 30th, 2021, about 3:50 p.m. in California. I'm back home here on the live stream, back from my trip down to the Salton Sea. I'll kind of explain a little bit more stuff that I kind of found out at the end of this update video, but I do want to get right smack dab into the update video to cover that stuff first. Let's see if I can get everything working here. I'm just kind of... There we go. Alrighty, so we're going to jump into the latest information here on the USGS map. A little bit of seismic increase along the North American continent. That's going to be from California and also down here through Texas area. A little bit of above 2.5 magnitude quakes popping around Williams. That's kind of odd, right? Williams, California, right along the crest of the foothills. This is a great thrust fault, the Great Valley Thrust Fault area that runs up along this region here. I don't know why the USGS does not have it listed on here, but other apps, if you look on your quake map on a phone, you'll see that there's a thrust fault within this vicinity. And that's kind of odd for the the depth of this earthquake. You can see a 3.4 at negative. And that's on the valley. I mean, that's just right up there at the foothills, just at the base. I know where this is at because I went to school down in Williams, and I go up through Highway 20 quite often. And there's just barely some foothills right there. And then you get into the higher mountains and elevation as you make your way up to Clear Lake. But it's odd. It's in a really odd spot. But there, like I said, there's a thrust fault that runs there. I want to see if this earthquake has been reviewed. It's automatic status, so it has not been updated. It looks like a few folks did report feeling it around the region, probably mostly around the Williams area. Not a big community, but you know, this type of earthquake, you'll definitely you'll feel it. It's a 3.4. It'll definitely send a little jolt if you're paying attention. So yeah, have to keep an eye on that. Also, some movement down south in the Bay Area. Of course, they had that 3.9 a couple days ago. Ridgecrest near near the valley up here, actually outside of Ridgecrest and away from. Let me turn on the all magnitudes here so we can see where this is at. Okay, this is kind of scattered out and about. Normally, it's been kind of following a line here from the July 4th, July 5th sequence of earthquakes. What, last year, the year before? I think the year before now, right? 2 years ago in this region. So we're seeing some movement outside of there and in the surrounding areas, which is telling me there's definitely a massive buildup of pressure out there if the quakes are kind of stretching away from the fault rupture from 2 years ago. Also a little bit of movement down south here where I was at. You know, this, man, I started thinking once I was down there in the motel. I stayed down there in Brawley. Like I say, I'll probably never ever go back there again. It's not my type of environment. The liquefaction factor in this area in the Imperial Valley, Brawley seismic zone region is unimaginable. If the big one hits down there, probably why I couldn't sleep last night at the motel. It kind of hit me. It's like, wait a minute, what am I doing down there? What am I doing down here in the Brawley seismic zone and right around the San Andreas Fault yesterday? Well, because I said I would, right? I said I would go down there and check out some stuff, do some investigative reporting, and that's what I did. And we'll go over that here in just a minute. But man, I just kind of crazy. Some movement off the coast here, Tijuana, and well off the coast of Oceanside, along the fault systems out here in the ocean. Just a couple of small microquakes, but that one there is 2.5, so I can't really say it's a microquake. Just above that threshold. But overall, looking at the entire west coast here, kind of activity ramping up, including up here in the parts of Northern California, just south of Quincy, Mount Lassen area, as well to the north, so nothing to do with the volcano, but in the Sierra Nevadas, right? What creates mountains? Obviously plate tectonics over time. So that's what we're seeing there in the Sierra Nevadas. Pretty shallow earthquake, 2.0 near Quincy at 1.3 kilometers below the surface for that quake. Let's see what else we got as we move around the Pacific. A little swarm of quakes near Japan. Some deeper movement as well down into the Japan Trench area. A couple fours, nothing big at the moment, but still keep an eye on that region. Also another, what is it with threes, right? Do things come in threes? Today they do. Around the Philippines down through the Indonesia area, some more fours as we look at the numbers there. And down through the Kermadec Islands and New Zealand looking pretty quiet, at least far as the 4.0 threshold goes. Some movement along the Chile area as well, some deeper movement into the Peru-Chile Trench. 214 kilometers for the deepest earthquake and the largest one so far, a 4.7 near Argentina. Let's see, Yellowstone, I was looking at this last night as well when I couldn't sleep. The swarm, it's still continuing, folks. This is over the last day. You can see a lot of movement here, kicking up, ramping up. Over the last few hours, still seeing some movement, and it really hasn't dropped off at all far as the swarming goes. Let's go ahead and check out yesterday since I wasn't here. That'd be the 29th. See? A couple days now we have some significant swarming taking place there at Yellowstone National Park, right around the Maple Creek area. This is where the epicenter of this earthquake activity is happening. You can see the well-defined quakes showing up on the seismograph. I wanted to check the USGS map and see if they're keeping up on the earthquakes, which it looks like they are. A little bit of migration showing up here towards the Hebgen Lake area. About 71 earthquakes or so in the Yellowstone area. Let's go ahead and check out 7 days all magnitude so we can get a broader scale of the earthquake activity taking place in Yellowstone. Most of it's confined to the Maple Creek area, just outside of the caldera of the Yellowstone supervolcano, and also towards the Hebgen Lake area. 236 earthquakes so far in this region. Not the biggest one we've seen, and we've definitely seen some bigger ones for sure taking place in Yellowstone and past historic swarms. But it's something to keep an eye on, especially since we got an ongoing swarm there and the increase in earthquake activity along the western part of the North American plate. So yeah, definitely let's check out the tremor map real quick here, folks. And a lot of it into Northern California. Not a whole bunch, but there is some tremor. 133 epicenters of tremor taking place at the southern end of the Cascadia. So overall view tells me that the North American continent is X on target for right now. Hawaii, a little bit of movement out there, but nothing really big to talk about, folks. So the Brawley seismic zone down there and the Salton Sea area where I was at yesterday, I spent all day looking for these mud volcanoes, little mud pots, right? And I appreciate, trust me, I appreciate the directions, but it's hard to read all the directions when they're coming through, and I'm kind of driving and trying to look for it myself. But I do appreciate the help. I ended up finding them at Davis Road and Shrimp Road. Dirt roads out there, folks, and some of the areas out there were gated off, right? There was gated off, and I could have swore it looks on the map anyway that they're public access roads, but they're shut. They're closed off. A lot of the lake out here on the southeastern side, and I'm sure a lot of areas have dried up. Like I was trying to find Obsidian Butte, and it's supposed to be like right at the edge of the water. Well, the water was like way out here. And the butte itself was gated off. The volcano area, this butte down here, is gated off. I had no access to it. So the mud area is just right around. Let's see where that road was. There's McDonald. It took me forever, guys. I mean, and I'm driving a little car, taking it down these bumpy roads. So for the people speaking negative out there on my GPS coordinates and whatnot, hey, you go out there and see if you can find it, okay? At the same time, trying to stream and provide a view for the subscribers out here. Let's see, where's Davis? And see, I can't even see it on this map right here. I'm sure it's one of these other ones that are not marked. But anyway, I found it. It was within this region, folks, and a county worker, actually a public works worker, was out there, and I asked him about it. And sure enough, we found them, but they were out in a field. They did not look active. I took some close-up shots from the public road, but it was on private property. The mud pits, which was mud pots, were looked like 5 or 6 of them out there. They looked like mini volcanoes. I took pictures, and they are up on my my page on the Earthmaster on social media. So if you use that, go check it out. So I couldn't get up close to see what was going on, folks. It was on private property, and I'm not gonna put myself in a position to where I'm trespassing out there, regardless if there was a fence up or not. There was no fence. These things were out in the middle of a field. The other ones I couldn't find. There's supposed to be some other ones around the Obsidian area, but like I said, a lot of that was closed off. There was ranger stations out there down these dirt roads that were all boarded up. Trailers sitting around that look in decent shape, but nobody was around. It looks like everyone just up and abandoned the whole region. The ranger shop was all boarded up with boards. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I mean, there's some weird stuff going on in the Salton Sea area where I stopped. The majority of the areas were along the northeastern edge, all along the east, and then down here near Nyland and areas to the southeast here. Major sulfur smell in the air, and lots of sulfur sand. You know that sulfur residue that's left on the sand out there and other areas? You know, if you've been to a volcano, you'll know what I'm talking about. I've seen that like everywhere, not only along the beach areas, but also areas away from the sea. A park ranger up here at the northeastern edge told me that it's algae bloom, and that is the hydrogen sulfide, I believe is what it's called, that's being released from the algae. But I didn't see any algae out there. I didn't see any type of bloom. There was no bloom showing up on the beaches, just the sulfur type material, you know, like you would see at a volcano. So I don't know what's going on out there. I know, and I'm pretty convinced now that a lot of the activity that's taken place. Let's go back 30 days, all magnitudes. I'm 100% convinced that the activity that's going on out here in the Salton Sea is volcanic in nature. Yes, a lot of it could be plate tectonic here. Could be adding on to the stress of volcanic activity here. I'm 100% convinced, folks, that this is volcanic. 100% convinced, just from the fact of the major sulfur smell in the air. And people have said, I've seen some of the comments. I can't read every single comment out there, folks. There was hundreds of them. That the Salton Seas always smelled like that. So if it's always smelled like that, then why are they blaming it on algae bloom? Why is that the excuse that's coming up? I asked the park ranger about the swarm, and he couldn't tell me much. I recorded it just in case he had said something that was of value, but I do have it recorded. He said that the earthquake swarm that's taken place down there in the southeast corner is being investigated by geologists. And that was it. He said he couldn't comment anymore. I asked him about the sulfur smell. And that's what he told me about the algae bloom. And that's what it is. It's not volcanic in nature. It's got nothing to do with volcanoes. So I don't know. I got a park ranger, which is, of course, a state employee, right? He's not. I really don't think he's going to tell me. I just kind of lollygagged in there asking, you know, what the Salton Sea was about. I didn't tell him anything about earthquake swarms or that I run a YouTube channel. I just kind of went in there as your typical tourist and just kind of asked him some random questions. And sure enough, he played me off like a card, you know, like a joker in the card. And so I played dumb and just, oh, okay, you know what, I could have swore that volcanoes kind of give off that smell too. Like, no, it's not that. It's, you know, it's the algae bloom. So I paid my $7 to get in the state park at the Salton Sea Northeast Park up here. I don't know if it's going to show it up here on this map. I don't think it is. But so I went in there. Everything's empty. The welcome center is empty. I was the only one in there. I don't know why. Maybe because people don't like it. It smells 10 times as worse than the ocean. But I love seafood smell, so I don't mind it. But it was extremely strong, and this area is shrinking. A lot of it's shrinking, folks. So it's getting saltier and saltier. There's no outlet, and of course, if there's no rainfall inflow, it's going to just continue to create hazardous conditions. Like, I think that's why my throat hurts today, and why I've had this headache all night, all day driving back up here to where I live in Northern California. The left side of my brain, it's like I don't get migraines, I don't get headaches, and I come back with headaches and a sore throat and just an eerie feeling. Just not good. Some major chemicals being released down there. It's not healthy. Of course, I could smell it through the vent, and I had to get out. Right, I have to get out of my car to go look at stuff, to talk to people, to investigate stuff. A lot of those roads were inaccessible by car, but I took the car down there anyway. Yeah, luckily I didn't get a flat. That would have sucked big time. But so on top of the saltiness of the sea down here in Salton Sea, right? The southern end of the southern end of the San Andreas Fault ends right there, supposedly. It's flat as can be, and the soil texture out there around the Salton Sea and away from the Salton Sea is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Spongy. It's like very sandy but spongy at the same time. And I think when a major earthquake hits out there, that place is going to sink, or it's going to blow with the amount of sulfur, hydrogen sulfide that's in the air. I'm pretty sure that's flammable. The amount out there is ridiculous. If I can smell it through my car while I got the air conditioner on, I mean, it's just, whoo, kind of crazy. I couldn't wait to get out of there, folks. I don't think I'm going to go back down there. Unless a volcano starts erupting, then I might be tempted to. That's just how crazy I am. I'm sorry, but that's the reporter and that's the investigator in me. So I would have liked to go around there more and look at everything, but everything's closed up, folks. There's gates. There's roads that have gates on them, and I can't pass them. I can't trespass down those roads. There's a reason why everything's gated off. And it's so weird. The public work guy that I talked to, that actually helped me find these mud pots out there in the southeast area, he didn't know anything about them, which I find that kind of strange. So I guess he called someone that helped us find it. He actually called someone for me on his phone, which I appreciate. George was his name. I do remember that. Thank you, George, if you're watching. I did give him one of my business cards. I don't know if that was the best idea, but I did. So he helped me find him from his friend on the phone call, and we went out and looked at him. He never knew anything about him. And he also mentioned that at the intersection of where I was at, Davis and Shrimp Road, it's Shrimp with an F at the end. It's really weird. There were supposed to be areas where you could get out of your car and listen to bubbles out of like the water or something around there, and we did. There was water, but I seen no bubbles, no air bubbles, nothing like that. I walked around with him a little bit throughout that area and didn't see or hear anything that was bubbling. Aside from the mud pits out in the middle of the field on private property, that was it. I was a little disappointed in it, but at the same time, amazed at the amount of volcanic evidence out there in the Salton Sea area. Look at some of these, and most of it, there's power plants out there. There was 4 or 5 power plants within the vicinity of those mud pits there along Davis and Shrimp Road. And I'm not for sure exactly how they're using the energy out there. I'm not too familiar with it, but there's got to be some major heating, a major source of pressure and heat going on below this area that's going to run 4 or 5 power plants, big power plants out there. So major volcanic activity, I believe, taking place out there. It's kind of scary. So I'm 100% convinced, folks, that it's volcanic. Do I think anything's going to happen out there as far as it blowing up? I don't know. You know, it's something to watch every time we get swarms in this area. You got the San Andreas Fault that sits up here to the north, but I strongly think that it's a combination of plate tectonics and volcanic activity there in the Salton Sea region, just from everything that I've looked at and seen and smelt, and the people that I talked to, and the fishiness that's going on out there. And I'm not meaning all the dead bones of fish on the shores either. I'm talking about the fishiness from some of the people, like the park rangers, you know, trying to blow smoke over on me, saying that's algae bloom. But then again, maybe it is. It's the very first time that I've been down here. So, but man, it's kind of crazy. I think it's a volcanic down there. We'll keep an eye on it, folks. We'll see what happens over the last day. Far as any swarming goes, there's only been 2 earthquakes in this region. But I wanted to check some of the depths of these real quick on the 30 days. Here's just a 2.5 and above. What do we got for a total? 2.5 and above over the last 30 days, and there was hundreds, if not, I think thousands, right? If we go all magnitudes, I don't want to get, yeah, almost 2,000 earthquakes in this region over the last 30 days of all magnitudes. But I just want to do 2.5 and above. You can see kind of like the centralized area. They kind of stretch across the lake, but a lot of this has dried up. Like I said, Red Hill, that's all the, if I remember right, this whole area right here is dry and weird. Like it just reminds me of volcanic ground, like sulfur type ground. The depth of these earthquakes, very variable. Surface down to 3, 7, 6. When you see a lot of 5s and 6s and 7s, you can pretty much assume that it's down there around the well, magma type area. Volcanic earthquake. Is that right? Volcanic earthquake activity. That's just what I'm seeing, folks, and that's what I gathered in my one day down there. I really wanted to stay another day, but I started having these health issues while I was down there, and just the sketchiness of the area. I don't know. If you guys know, I'm never going down there again. I'm probably going to commit to it. It was hot and humid. The lake water was very warm. I did not get a chance to go out here to this area to touch the water because it had dried out and there was no access to the roads out there. But as far as the water up north here, you know, and maybe that's like that all the time. Maybe that's what happened. I shouldn't have touched the water. Great. I didn't wash my hands either. In fact, I was eating pistachios afterwards. That's just fabulous. No wonder my throat hurts. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what I found, folks. There are some pictures that I didn't post here on Facebook or on YouTube that are up on my Facebook channel. So go check that out if you guys want to. Of the mud pits and other areas that I photographed while I was down there. But very dangerous area, major seismically hazard area for volcanic activity, and the major buildup of stress here from about Palm Springs down to the Salton Sea area. This section here is locked and loaded and has not had a major quake in quite a few hundred of years. Okay, it's ready. It's going to happen, and when it does, I think we could see volcanic activity related to it, or we could see volcanic activity that could trigger the San Andreas Fault. I think those two are a very good possibility. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off here. That's a pretty long update video, but I just kind of wanted to put out there what I seen, what I found. You know, and it's hard. It's hard to get to. I appreciate everyone's help. I'm very good with directions. So all the GPS jokes about me, I don't really need GPS because I know where I'm going for the most part. But this time, I mean, there's dirt roads everywhere out there, and nothing's marked or labeled. So I did my best. I tried to get out there and provide viewership for the subscribers, and appreciate those that did donate on the channel that wanted to see me go down there. And I made it down there. I did not feel any earthquake activity. But man, I brought back with me some health issues from the air that's down there around the Salton Sea and the Brawley area. All right, folks, I'm gonna chat at you with a little bit, chat at you guys a little bit later. I'm recovering from a 9-hour car trip and some hydrogen sulfide inhalation. I will chat you guys a little bit later. Stay safe out there. Peace out.